right, we're gonna be looking at Yeshi's support Lina 1.7k Crusader replay. You submitted a lot of text, and I'm not doing this because you submitted a lot, but I'm actually just not gonna look at it right now. I'm just gonna try this out where I'm just gonna tell you what I see, and then I will read it at the end, like before I cut it off, and like hopefully at that point, since I've watched everything I needed to watch, I'll like tell you, I'll like respond to it then, and then the game will have been fresh in my mind. A lot of times when I read it up front, I like forget to like touch on things that you mentioned. So we'll kind of like review your commentary after and like see how it matches up with like what I saw. Okay, so you're playing with a Tiny. You're against like Underlord Grim, Underlord Primal Beast maybe, and you're supporting a carry Tiny. You sentry their hard camp. I think that's pretty reasonable. Underlord's going to shove it in a lot, so you want to be able to, you want to have that camp blocked so that they don't get their pull off. Speed it up. Your item builds kind of makes sense, honestly. I don't know if you need to stick this early over like something else, but I kind of like the idea of the Windlace against like Primal Beast. You're buying another Sentry, a Salve. So you might have some mana regen problems, but we'll see. Lina's not very common 5. We'll see. I like that you secure the range creep. That's good. Okay, and they... So you weren't there to body block. Sometimes I like to body block this camp even though I sentryed it, just so they don't know I have a sentry. But I think what you were doing in lane was like kind of useful, and then you were getting ran at. So I don't... Like, it's like nice to do, but if you can do something else, that's better. Or if you're not doing anything else, it can be good to do that. So here, I think maybe, I don't know if you're just a little late, but like Wing to secure that range creep would have been really good. You did it for the first one, so obviously you're thinking about it a little bit. But don't be afraid to do it like 3-4 creep waves in a row, right? It's just something you always want to do. I think it would be important here to check and see if you have a small camp. They're going to be shoving it into a lot, so like you're not going to be looking to pull all the time, but like even if they shove it in a lot, like eventually it'll like bounce back, right? They'll like shove it in hard, and then your tower will kill it, and then like your wave that will be here like will start running up, and it'll meet here eventually, right? And in that scenario, it would be nice to get a pull off for you, so it'd be nice to like check and see. Okay, here you do check it, so that's good. It's just nice to know if you have that camp available or if you need to deward it. Nice. You guys use your spells, get the kill, and you have a Salve, which I really like.
Thanks and have fun.
Your courier did die. I think you should use your Salve right away. I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Like, you're not using it on Tiny, so it's really important to use your Salve like right away. Like, you know, once you're not at risk of it getting canceled, because now you're just wandering around, and Salves take like forever. Like 13 seconds, I think. Yeah, it lasts 13 seconds, which like it's just kind of forever. So, in this case, I don't think it ends up being that bad for you, but you just want to use it as soon as possible. Okay. I kind of like the way you're playing this. You're basically just looking to be aggressive. So this aggression is not like that good because they have a bunch of creeps here, and like some are getting hit by your tower. So, like, it's good to be aggressive, and I understand your Tiny kind of started this, so, like, it wasn't, like, you instigated this, but generally, when they have more creeps than you, and it's, like, under your tower almost, that is not a good time to be aggressive. Like, you want to focus on getting the CS and playing safe. So, I don't really like this aggression, and then you kind of, like, sat under Underlord's Q a little bit. Notice it didn't work out that well for you guys, plus Tiny missed, like, 2 creeps. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't great. So, it's just, like... I don't mind that you're being aggressive, but I think that was just slightly mistimed. And it's like, how well can you be aggressive when it's good for you guys, and how, you know, how patient can you be when it's not a good opportunity. This guy's just constantly shoving it in, so I don't think there's a lot you can do here. Is it still blocked? Okay, this guy still blocked it. If better players, like what you've done so far is fine, and they're not dewarding their pull, because what they would want to do is deward this pull. So better players eventually will like look to deward this and then start pulling, and you don't have to deal with that because you're not doing it. But I just want to let you know, for the purpose of like your improvement, eventually this will become a factor, and then you'll have to like play more to like keep it decentried or like reblock it. It's just really not a factor here because they're not blocking it at all. But I just want to like something that eventually you have to think about. So I want it to be on your radar. And I think this death is mostly a result of your positioning. I mean, you're harassing this guy so that he's not, well, that's just Primal Beast being Primal Beast, actually. That tiny kind of griefed you. Actually, that was fine. Maybe you die there anyways, but I think what you were doing was reasonable. And then the tiny kind of griefed you by tossing the Primal Beast on top of you. So you're getting a raindrop, which do you have other items in your career? No. Oh, yeah, you do. Okay, luckily your career just delivered them. So this is good. And yeah, your hero is mostly, this is just kind of like all your hero does, so like I don't mind this is what you're doing. I'm just not sure. Whoa. Oh man. Alright, well, that was ridiculous, but again, not really your fault, so not a lot to say about that. What I want to say is like, I hope you don't play this way all the time on every position 5 you play, because if you played like, you know, like Winter Wyvern or like something, like this isn't really how you would play, but I do like the way you're playing on Lina this game. So you're going to walk bottom. I like this, walking back to your lane instead of TPing. I think it's really important. So the lane is a little pushed up. They will be pushing it back. They finally did deward your camp. And yeah, this is just a hard lane for you to be in now, with Primal Beast having levels. Like, you're just a very squishy hero. So let's take a look at your positioning here. So what you need to think about is, like, earlier in the game, like, you were doing pretty well. Like, you were distancing yourself and, like, harassing from a distance. But at this point in the game, this Primal Beast with levels, A, closes the gap on you, and B, like, once he's on top of you, kind of just demolishes you. Maybe it would have been worth considering trying to get boots instead of upgrading Wand and getting this raindrop. I liked that you had the Windlace to start, like I said. Maybe rushing boots could have been good, because here, basically, this aggression is not going to work out if they go on you. Like, the key here is that they don't go on you, and you have to play very scared. Like, because your hero dies if they get on top of you, but you're really effective if they're, like, not hitting you back. So here you need to play more scared, I think. Like, stunning this guy is fine, but you need to, like, instantly, like, kite backwards here. Like, sitting here, right-clicking him again while you're getting queued by Underlord is just not good. And then... I think here, if you just run right... Sorry. So as soon as you, like, get out of this route here, like, I think if you run up and to the right, you might live. I see this a lot in, like, beginner players where, like, when you run away, you always run, like, back towards your base or back towards the tower, but sometimes you need to run just away from where the heroes are. So you need to run, like, up this way. Like, you ran up this way, and then, like, you know, eventually you make it, like, back around, right? But, like, here you run past both of them, and they each get, like, some extra autos, and then, like, this guy is, like, on top of you for his next trample. That might have been avoidable. But either way, you needed to play a little more safe. Like, a little more scared before while the Tiny was hitting the guy. Because if they go on you, as you saw, you just kind of die. And a lot of times as support, that can be kind of an indication that you might want to look to leave your lane. Is that, like, if you show up or if you go back to the lane, you just die. So I think that was kind of avoidable. I wouldn't, like, be ditching the lane right now, but just for your knowledge, like, a lot of times, like, that's when you kind of want to look to be leaving the lane. So you're checking out what's going on in the other lanes. You do TP back here. I don't think this TP is necessary because nothing is happening right now. I think walking back bottom again like you did before and keeping your TP would be better. Because if nothing's happening, like, this Tiny's just chilling and farming, and this Pitlord's not, like, bothering him, and Primal Beast isn't here, like, there's no reason for you to be back right now, right?
Mirrors of my delight.
And see, now you're walking back into the jungle. Like, you didn't do anything meaningful with this time, or you could have just walked here anyways. This would have been a good scenario to pull, since for whatever reason he's not pushing the lane in right now, and you've got more creeps. Like, if you're noting the equilibrium, you guys are pushing it out. If you had gotten a pull here, it's too late right this second, but if you had noted that 10 seconds ago and then looked to got this pull off. That would have been nice. You're under leveled because you haven't been pulling it all, and like you haven't needed to pull a lot, but it's still important to like have an idea of when these opportunities are going to be good and then doing them when you can. Just because every small camp adds up, right? If you get 3 small camps, it's like a half level or something. I'm gonna speed it up again. It's a decent ward. I like this because like eventually you're gonna want to leave. You kind of have a habit of just standing in his queue. Is that what happened here? Or am I missing this? Oh, okay, he didn't get his Q off and then he ran away pretty early. Wow, so here you barely do live. But yeah, this aggression is pretty hard just because, like, Hitler's a very tanky hero. Yeah, these guys just do a lot of damage. Oh, what is happening? Alright, you guys are actually killing this guy. That's pretty sick.
Held your feet to the fire.
Here, you bought a salve in your boots, and I don't think that's good. I think you just walk base or you TP base here. And then just look for the next play. Like, if you're this low on both resources, you need to be thinking base. Like, you don't have, like, mangoes, you don't have clarities. That salve that you're looking to fly out is not going to cut it. Like, right here, as soon as this guy dies, you need to base. Like, if you want to walk and save your TP so you can TP somewhere else, that's fine. I wouldn't even be upset if you just TP straight base here, because then it puts your TP on cooldown earlier, so you'll have it up again for the next TP like sooner. But you just need to go base here. Like flying out this salve, even if you didn't die, this salve is not going to cut it. So you just need to like have this trigger in your mind of like, I'm low on health and mana, like I need a base. It's just not acceptable to like stay on the map with this low of resources. Wow, you don't even, I thought you died here. That's funny, you didn't die. Okay, so you didn't die. Honestly, it would have been better if you had died, because you would, then your resources would have gotten reset. Like, it wouldn't even been that bad of a death. This XP for you is really nice, I guess? But, oh man, I don't know. Like, you just have no mana. So you're flying out a bunch of mana now. I guess this kind of worked out because they didn't kill you and they didn't dive you. But I think on average, like, you definitely just needed to go base there when you had that opportunity. And then look to be on the map with mana so you can be useful, like, later. You are looking to get a pull off here. Okay, you missed it, but I don't mind that attempt. I think, you know, it is fine to go for pulls. Like, at this phase in the game, you're just looking for XP. I think that was a fine pull to go for. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like, it's, you still want to be mindful of, like, when it's reasonable to, like, pull. Yeah, you have no mana. So, like, I'm like, what are you doing? You're finally gonna get some on the courier here. But, like, I don't, like, this, whatever you're doing right now doesn't make any sense because you have no mana. Like, you cannot be here because you're saying that, like, if I find somebody, like, you're walking up aggressively, that's saying, like, oh, I'm gonna find somebody, and, like, if I do, like, I'll fight them. But, like, you can't fight them. You have no spells, dude. So, like, I don't understand what you're doing right now. I don't think this is good at all. Finally get the courier. You just don't even have mana. You barely have mana to use all your spells. You got your clarity canceled. You're flying out more. You just need to be okay with going to base sometimes. Even as a support, like, this is really important on mana hungry, like, mid heroes, of which Lina is kind of is one as well. But even on support heroes, like, if you have no mana, you just need to go base. That's all I can say. Just go base sometimes. Like, here again, you're flying this stuff that you're flying out. It's not worth it at 950 into the game. It's not worth it to fly yourself 100, 200 gold of regen. Like, you need to be saving up for, like, you know, your mana boots, right? It's just not worth it. Just walk to base. Nothing is really happening anyways, because you're not useful until this regen gets here. So, like, it doesn't matter that, like, you're, like, if you're want to be with your team, like, it doesn't matter if you're with your team if you're useless. One spell is not enough to contribute. So, like, it's better if you just go base and then show up again later than, like, do whatever this is. Hanging around no mana. It's a long pause. You got the one stun. I just don't think this is an effective way to play. I would have rather you'd gone base earlier, and then, like, if you want to make the play, then maybe you just TP back to lane later. Because your items are just going to be so delayed after buying all this regen. It's like really late regen. Use a tango on yourself. It's fine that your chain kind of pulling. Or chain tangling your timing, I guess it's fine. And yeah, you haven't been keeping your eye too much on like what's going on elsewhere on the map. It seems like everything is going okay. Like your Huskar's doing okay. But it's a good idea to like that one time you were dead, you like looked at top. It's a good idea to like just have some sort of idea. But like from your perspective, like I'm not really sure what's going on elsewhere on the map. And like as a support hero like Lina with aggressive potential, it's not always good to just be constantly sitting bottom, you know, kind of like, yes, you were like fighting them, but a lot of times like you'll be more effective if you like show up in their carry's lane, like kill their carry and take their tower, right? That's something that your hero like Lina as a 5 can do because she's very aggressive. Like other heroes like Lich, Witch Doctor, you know, kind of these heroes that like don't mind fighting. A lot of times it's better to like go fight them somewhere else. And this would be like if you go to base, instead of walking back to your lane, it's like walk back top and like have your TP in case your tiny needs you bottom for something like that. So something to keep in mind. Like nothing you've been doing is like crazy bad. I'm not 100% sure you'd have an impact somewhere else, but you haven't even really been looking, so it's just hard to tell. And now your tiny is left and you're just taking this lane. You gotta use your mana boots sooner. Just efficiency. It puts it on cooldown for the next mana boots. It's been like 15 seconds already. What are you saving mana boots for? Otherwise, it's going pretty well. You guys like took a fight in the aggressive part of the map and you connected with your team. Kind of got picked off the back by their mid. Like I don't mind that movement in general that you did. Pushing out mid was good, and then connecting with your team was good. So here you TP to get the stack. I don't mind that. It's nice. It's a reasonable use of the TP. You should buy a TP again though. Or if you're planning on TP and you only have one, you should automatically buy another TP. You know, I'm going to anticipate if you don't fly one out right now that you're going to need your TP and you're not going to get it. So he's fighting bottom, so you walk bottom. Yeah, you kind of get caught here. Generally, so this is kind of like you getting baited by your team is what I would consider this. At this phase in the game, like you've taken their top tier 1, you have not yet taken their mid tier 1. You guys want to be playing here or for their mid tower, and this tower is like a lot of times not worth like defending. And it's not that it's not worth defending, it's that this tower, by nature of where it is on the map, and this goes the same if you're Dire, it's harder to defend because you can only really get to it effectively because it's so far away, right? Like this is more than half the map, even though you're mid lane, this is more than half the map away, right? It's harder to defend because not everybody can be there. So like this is perfect. You TP'd here, and like your TP, even if you had another one, wouldn't be up yet. So like you don't have a TP to defend this tower, and that's part of why this tower is bad to like, be trying to defend here. Because a lot of times people just can't all be there, and if you can't defend this tower with like your full team and they show up with a lot of heroes, then they're just going to outnumber you. And the later you go into the game, the more important it is to like have all your team there for any like particular fight. And like you weren't there to start that fight, but I don't think your team should have been taking that fight. And I don't think you should have walked bottom to join them because it just takes too long. So like I don't think any of you should have gone down there. So you kind of like got baited by your team going down there. In that scenario, if your team does choose to defend that, like I want you to think like, nah, I can't really defend that tower. I don't have TP. And I want you to just sit mid, push it out, and then like look to like either hit this tower if you see like 4 heroes bottom, like you can just solo hit this tower, that's fine. Or like look to connect to like your Sand King or something. Just ignore this. I don't want you to like care that much about defending this tower when you just like, it's not feasible for you to get there. You just didn't have a TP, walking's too slow. Like by the time you got there, your Huskar already died, and you're like, what am I doing here? It's just not feasible. So when your team like kind of makes throws like that, just kind of recognize it for what it is if you can, and you just base that on your knowledge of like how you think your team needs to be playing the map, right? You guys want to be playing here and taking their mid tower. They want to be taking your bottom tower, and like at a certain point, it's just not always worth it to defend it. Like if it's convenient for you to defend it, it's okay to do so, but a lot of times it's just not convenient to do it. So DP bin, your team connects, and I think this is reasonable because you're making plays like for an aggressive objective, like an objective that you reasonably want to take next. There, mid tier 1. So here the only thing I'm looking at is the mini-map, and I see these creeps here, and this makes me a little sad. You don't have a TP up, but I don't think... Okay, you're sinking TPs, which is good. Like, if nobody had TP'd, I would have said you should go just because somebody needs to. Looks like you guys are going to try and pressure this tower. I don't think this... So, I think this is okay, but a lot of times it's not. So I'll just explain real quick, like, why I think it's okay here, but why, like, this isn't always good. Is, like, this tower doesn't matter. If you've watched, like, BSJ's, like, Order of Objectives video or familiar with the Order of Objectives, you'll know that, the enemy offlane tier 1 is, like, not that important. And because it's not important, it's only good to take if it's super convenient and easy for you. And if you think the opponent's going to put up some sort of fight, or if you're not that much stronger than they are, this tower is usually really bad to take because it's just so far away from anything that matters. It's near their triangle, which they want to defend. It's like, a lot of times, like, when you're doing this tower might have died already, but it's like, it can be really hard for your own teammates to connect to you while you're here. And like, the next objective after you've taken the tier 1 top and tier 1 mid is either going to be this top tier 2, or if you can, Roshan, and you have a Roshan hero in Huskar. So like the next Rosh is like your guys' next objective that you like, that progresses the game. Like this tower doesn't progress the game even if you take it. So ideally you're playing in this area, like either for this or this top tier 2 or Roshan. So like playing down here and taking this tower really only is worth doing if it's like so easy that it's like trivial. And that's kind of where I think you are, which is why I think it's okay. But if this game is like closer, this just doesn't matter, and I hope you like would react appropriately. See, this doesn't even end up being worth it. Your Huskar died for that tower. And at the end of the day, like, okay, you got the tower, but like, who cares? Actually, yeah, you all died for this tower. 3 of you, 4 of you. Wow, okay, so your Sand King shows up and kind of turns it. But basically, all this just... It could have been avoided. Or if it happens, it's better that this same fight happens, like, up here. And then, like, if you win it, or whatever... That wasn't really a win, that was more like a draw. But, like, if you win it, feasibly, then you, like, take their tower, right? And that means you would pushed in top lane. You know, because now you're down here again, you like show up to the end of this fight, and it just doesn't matter that you're down here. You did come back here to like clean up the fight. Okay, it's okay that you pushed out this lane. Okay, this is good. I was worried that you were gonna stay down there like a long time, but you didn't, so that's fine. You're gonna push out mid, which I think is good. I think it's a little nuts to like walk up, to walk up that far. Notice the mini map. You see one hero, and you see their Terrorblade top who's not ganking you, but like I'd be really afraid of like any hero. I mean, this guy might even solo kill you if he was good. I honestly think this guy maybe solo kills you. I think he's just kind of nuts. Yeah, he misses his first astral, so then he doesn't like connect, but that was pretty scary for you. If any other hero showed up, you just died there. Better is just to like, I know you want to clear this wave, and I think it's good that you are. I think you just have to wait for him to clear it, and then for it to like walk closer to your tier 1, and then you can clear it.
Double damage.
Dyer's courier, he bit the big one. There's a job opening. Courier.
Okay, that's a pretty hard kill attempt. You guys just don't have a lot of lockdown for him. I like where you're playing though. You're playing around Roshan. It's not respawned yet, but that's okay. Like you're getting some vision. It could even be worth warding there. It's just since you have to, it's really good to like get vision down there. What happened here? So your team just kept fighting them? Like I don't really mind that you walked top. Just want to make sure I understand what happened here. So Sand King got really low, and you guys didn't kill anybody, and he used his BKB. And Roshan's not up. So to me, I would say, like, this is my signal. Like, we should just chill and wait and reset. Got 2 heroes low. Sand King doesn't have his BKB. I think it'd be good. And I think it's a little dependent on communication. Like, if you say to your team, like, hey, guys, like, Sand King uses BKB, we didn't get anything, like, we should just chill. Like, just chill and back. And then you come do this, I think that's fine. And if they get caught, they get caught. Like, your Huskar should not be farming this wave, like, I think they were smoked, but like he's getting caught. He shouldn't be farming up here after you guys just sort of like didn't get anything out of that engagement, and like you wasted your Sand BKB. I think what he's doing is kind of nuts. So I don't really mind what you're doing. I think your team's kind of throwing here. And given that this is happening, you're doing like the best thing possible, which is splitting the side lane. So I think this is good. I think it'd be good to like keep your eye on what's happening mid, especially because your TP's up. So you're looking now and you come. Okay. That was a Ooh, that almost worked. So yeah, if you keep your eye on it more, you'll have a better idea of like where you're TPing. Because like here, like if you looked. Let's slow it down. So you have your TP up, right? So you like nuke this. So like if I'm you, I like after killing this creep, I like right click back here. So like my hero starts moving away from the tower, and then I would look. And I'd look at this and I'd say this is a 3v1. So it's either like you TP in like right now, or even like if you had been looking before, like even before you're done killing these creeps, like you basically need to already be here to help your Tiny, who's like full resources, and maybe you guys can like do this 2v3, or you need to like be looking, and you're not here yet, like he kills one hero, but he gets sundered. Like I don't know if you noticed this, but at this point, this is no longer good to TP into. Like he's dying, and now you TP, but it's like too late, and you weren't watching, like you just kind of did the push top, and then like backed off, and then like TP'd, without really looking and analyzing first, because I don't think this TP is good to make at the point that you make it, and especially I don't think you saw this guy either with your perspective. So it's not worth TPing in here, even if you think you can like kill this Pit Lord. Like you dying for this Pit Lord right now is not really worth it. It's better that you stay on the map and like push out this next top wave that's gonna come. Like jungle, wait for this next wave, and like push it out again. That's like the best thing you can do with your time, and instead you like TP in, trying to save a Tiny, but it's too late, and then you end up dying. So just looking before you TP is really important. I tell this to like everybody I coach, right? Like carries, it's really important. Whenever you're like looking to show up to a fight, it's just really important to like kind of take a look at what's happening, because when you TP'd, by the time you did, like it wasn't good anymore. But if you'd been paying attention earlier, it would have been better. It would have been, I think, good, or at least worth it to try and TP like 5 to 6 seconds sooner than you did. So you kind of got the worst of both worlds here. Like you were too late to TP, and then you did, and it was too late, and then you like fed anyways. So I'll watch a little bit longer, just because I think the first like 25, 28 minutes were like kind of most important in terms of improving and like doing better in more of your games. Because a lot of what happens after this point just devolves into like crazy team fights, and if you focus more on the stuff that we had talked about already, then you'll be in better spots come this phase in the game, and it'll just feel easier anyways. So, like I said, we'll take a look at what you had written in a second. So, you guys are kind of playing around Roche, which I like. And you guys have good vision. It could be good to like be de-warding, like you're the support, so I would buy like 2 or 3 more sentries, and like I would sentry here in the river, I would sentry here, because a lot of times people put a ward right outside the pit that doesn't have to get de-warded. They could have a ward here and you would have no idea. So I'd sentry here to like see both sides of the river, I'd sentry here, and even like to check this cliff up here or like here, you can check them both if you drop a sentry like down here on the low ground and like use your courier, or in this case you have light strike array where you can check this cliff. But like de-sentrying this area is super important. And also smoking, like if you guys get some smokes, nobody on your team has any. Your guys are, oh, Tiny has one. And there's one available. So like having a smoke is super important here, because like you guys want to take this Roche, right? So like if this lane, if you can push out mid here and then tell your team to like group up and smoke, so your team smokes without you and you don't even push out mid. This is like also the worst of both worlds. They have like the right idea. I feel like you're a little slow here, because what they're doing is pretty reasonable. But if you've just been de-warding in the like minute before, and then like you should be like on the same page as your team here, and you should be thinking like, oh, this would be good to like smoke and take a fight. So let's see what ends up happening. I like this D ward though, while your team's like playing aggressively and getting another good ward. Okay, so you guys smoked, didn't find anything, got some good vision down, and took Roche. It was good. Like I said, you could have just been looking for like D wards. It's really important to try, like as a support, especially as position 5, like it's kind of your main job is like to just sentry the crap out of this area and make sure they don't have the vision advantage over you if it comes to a Roche fight. Just a little bit more. See how you play the map with this advantage, and then we'll stop. Nobody's pushing in top. It'd be kind of nice if somebody was. I don't really know if it's your job. Nobody on your team has like boots of travel, so I think it'd be reasonable. There's no TP tower, TP mid tower, so I'll say that like I think what you're doing is fine because you can't like leave your team and then easily get back to them. But ideally, like, after you... Let's look at right after the Roche is gone. So you guys take the Roche, and you push in mid. Right here, like, what your team needs to do conceptually, and if you understand this, like, you can communicate this to your team, or you can at least start to do the right thing, and maybe your team will follow, is you want to get mid pushed in and top pushed in, and, like, take this top tier 2. Okay, actually, you can do 2 things in this scenario. Because you have the Aegis already... You guys are basically very strong, right? You'd be happy to take a 5v5 fight somewhere. So you should look to control 2 out of 3 lanes. You should either play up here and keep mid push in top all the way and keep mid pushed in and play up here and look to take like this top tier 2 and then this mid tier 2 while keeping both lanes pushed in simultaneously, which requires somebody to like kind of be mid while the rest of the team's like kind of hanging out right here. Somebody who can clear mid quickly, which could be you, or Sand King. Or Tiny. A lot of you kind of clear mid quick, which is good. The alternative is you kind of do the same thing, but you sit in their triangle. You say, we have Aegis, we're strong, and you post up in their triangle, and you do the same thing, but from their triangle, where you keep mid pushed in, and somebody pushes out bottom all the way, and then you just chill here, and if they walk up, you try and fight them, and then at some point you take this, and then you take this while keeping both these lanes pushed in. And doing that, like if you do the top play, it only leaves them with like their triangle and like bottom jungle, or if you do the triangle play, it only leaves them with their like top jungle and like your triangle if they're like nuts. So like that's what you should be looking to do right now. Part of what determines like what you go for is like your vision. Like I think playing around top right now is nice because you have really good vision. So like if you walked top right now and pushed top all the way in, and your team like kind of like kept mid pushed in and like connected to you. It doesn't have to be that does this, but if it's not anybody, it can be you. And then your Tiny would have to connect back to you at some point. Or alternatively, since your Tiny is already bottom, the rest of you could push in mid and then take over the triangle as your Tiny like pushes up, and you guys could connect as 5 here. And I'll end by just talking about this concept of like at this phase in the game, 25 minutes plus. I mentioned this kind of already, but the only thing that matters in terms of team fights is having a numbers advantage. Like you need to have the information for every fight you take that you are either equal number of heroes, like 5-on-5, 4v4, whatever, or that you have more heroes. So like, all I care about is like playing one of the right parts of the map and then like taking fights as you're once you've connected with your whole team. So like you guys try and take a fight without your Tiny right here, it's gonna be bad. Let's see what happens. You're kind of doing nothing. Okay, so your Tiny leaves bottom, connects to you guys, and you guys are kind of playing top, which is reasonable, except that nobody's pushed this out. And this is bad. And somebody should push this out. And that could have started happening like 30 seconds ago, like I said. You guys go for this crazy team fight. Yeah, and here's the thing is like, you didn't start this team fight, so I'm not gonna like blame you for it, but just like conceptually, if you've pushed in top and like you get some vision down here, the fights generally just look better. Like instead of needing to dive this mid tier 2 where you have no vision, like you don't have any vision in the surrounding area, it's not really advantageous for you guys, and like they get like bonus like armor and regen under the tower. Like this kind of dive, this instantly is just a bad fight the way this starts. And I know it's not your fault, but like if you set up the map properly ahead of times, like the fights just tend to not look like this. And And again, you haven't really had time to set up more vision, which is unfortunate. Like, you guys kind of just rush it here. It's just rushing it and forcing it. Like with BSJ, I don't know if you watch BSJ, but it's like, this is like really forced. This is just super forced. This is just saying, I'm going to fight you under your tower where you're really strong. And like, yes, you guys had Aegis, but like, you know, under their tower is not a good place to take a fight. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a throw. Do you guys end up winning this game? Which team is which? You guys are the rating. You do end up winning. That's cool. All right, so I'm going to look at what you said in your recap now, and then I will address anything in what you said that I hadn't talked about yet. So you said you've gotten a Crusader by spamming Lina pos 4 and buying bots and pushing lanes. Sounds reasonable. Sounds like it would work. And this was a party game. So you said the lane was weird. I really wanted to pull so you could get farm and solo XP. So we talked about that and why you wouldn't be pulling as much, but then you kind of like missed a couple opportunities to pull, but not too many. You said Tiny wanted to commit to fights. I feel like I talked about the lane a lot and addressed that. Talked about securing the range. You could have done it 1 or 2 more times. And yeah, you mentioned you don't like buying mana regen. Like, I think it's good to start the lane with a little more mana regen than you did, just like a clarity or 2 or a clarity and a mango. Maybe instead of your stick, and then just get stick later. And then I kind of talked about like how you like were buying regen when you should have just been going base, so hopefully that addresses that for you. Okay, and then you mentioned that that time where you were pushing top because SK uses BKB. So yeah, I kind of agreed with your assessment there. I talked about that. You're talking about items and you mentioned Orchid. Normally you buy 4 staff, possibly Pike. Buying Wand more, I agree, is good. You bought a wand this game, that's good. I probably would have flamed if you hadn't bought a wand. And yeah, you seem to play around Roshan, which you like, but usually even though I try to pressure around, we don't control it. So yeah, that's kind of what I was saying about controlling it. Like, you were placing vision sometimes, which is good. You could have been dewarding a little bit more around the area, but I kind of liked the way you were playing around the Roche vision. I think you could have just been doing it a little more, and especially like dewarding. Like, as position 5, do not be afraid to just buy like 5 sentries. Or like 4. I do that a lot. Like, if I'm like, okay, we are going to be playing around Roshan, like, I'll just buy like 3 or 4 sentries. And you just place them, you know? Like, look for the wards. And if they don't have them, great. But, like, it's worth the 200 gold for the 4 sentries to just know and check. It can be game-changing. And you're a 5. So, like, it's a good use of your gold. And, yeah, you're talking more about items. Yeah, I didn't really mention your items. I think Force Staff would have been good this game because it gets you away from Primal Beast, and the you can use it while you're Pit of Malice. What order did you buy these items in this game? You're this guy. Where are you? You're this guy. So you bought Mana Boots into Aether. Aether, I think, is pretty reasonable. Like, they don't have great jump on their team. Like, they have Primal Beast and like Void Spirit, but like if you're in the back, like they're not going to be going on you. They tend to like just jump on whoever they see first, not like the back lines, unless the Void Spirit's really good. But so I think Aether's reasonable here. I think Force Staff might have been good after that. You kind of had set up for your stun already, so I don't think the Yules was that necessary, and Yules doesn't really save you from anything on their team. So I think Force Staff after Aether probably could have been good. And yeah, buying bots is like okay. Like in these lower MMR games, I understand they go longer and like it could be good to have items like that. So like I wouldn't hate bots necessarily at your MMR a lot. But in this game, if like it had kept going, so you ended up buying bots or I see you went after the other bots or I think Force Staff would have been good. And then what else would you need this game to be effective? Yeah, I really don't think the Yules is just necessary at all. I'm not sure I saw you get a lot out of that. And I don't think, like, based on their lineup that it's that effective. And I would just base it off, like, what my team, like, needs. Honestly, you could even consider things like a Vlad's would be good. Nobody bought it. Drums is reasonable. Like, this is after a Force Staff. I do kind of think you need a Force Staff this game. If, like, somehow Terrablade's getting on top of you or something, like, that should really never happen. Even like a BKB eventually. I don't think the Orchid matters too much. What did you say about Orchid? You just said it seemed like a good item. Yeah, I would never really go Orchid on like support Lina unless it's like way late game. I would never buy it like. When did you buy this? You bought it kind of like last after bots. Yeah, I don't think bots would have been good here. Like 4 staff and then like some sort of team item. I think I don't think you really needed too much else to like be effective on your hero, unless you were like full transitioning to core. But I don't think you really needed to. Like 4 staff and then like I don't know, drums is reasonable. Vlad's is reasonable. These items that like amp up your team and like keep the momentum going, I think are just really good right now. Yeah, that was kind of everything you mentioned. So hopefully that helped you a lot, and you get a lot out of it, dude. Thanks for signing up.